Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd, and we are live from the United Soccer Coaches Convention here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And we are joined by two-time MLS Coach of the Year, Villanova University Hall of Fame Class of 2017, Chicago Fire Defender of the Year, and MLS All-Star, your Philadelphia Union head coach, Jim Curtin. Thank you so much, Jim, for taking time out of your day, joining us on the podcast. And first, I got to ask you, you guys made a move for Andres Perea from Orlando City. How's Andres fitting in at practice?
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me. Great to be on with you guys. Again, doing great things down here at the convention. A lot of familiar faces, which is nice to see, and a lot of sharing of knowledge down here, which is really cool. Which leads me to Andres Perea, a great player from Orlando, a player that hurt the Union, if you guys remember, with some goals from some deep spots, especially in the Open Cup. So we decided to steal him from Orlando, and we see a young player that is incredibly talented, a ball winner, a national team level player that we think in our environment can really thrive and reach his full potential.
Now, when he was with Orlando, he was playing as one of the 2-6s. Obviously, you guys play with 1-6. Do you think that he could play as one of the 8s, or do you think he's more comfortable as a lone 6?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think he can do both. In short, I think he could play either side of the diamond if we needed, but we've talked this year about becoming a little more tactically flexible, so we will have games where we maybe play a version of a 3-4-1-2 or a 3-5-2, however you want to call it, and he could be a guy that kind of plays as a second 6 in there and plays two ways in the midfield. But he's a versatile player. He has feet and talent that I could probably throw him in there at the 10 for Daniel Gazdag, and he'd do well. You know, he's that good. So depth is an important thing, especially when we're going to be playing 55 games this year. And again, it's exciting to get a player of his quality.
Yeah, absolutely. It's back-to-back years that Ernst Tenner's made a trade within MLS to acquire a player for you guys. Obviously, last year with Julian Carranza, now with Andres. Now, with this being the first week of training, do you guys do a lot of fitness stuff, I would imagine, right now? Or what does training look like for you guys?
Yeah, that's a good one, too. Look, we give the guys an off-season program, and I'll always say some over-exceed that program and some maybe come in a little out of shape. This year, to a man, every guy came in at or above where we expected, so that makes our job easier now as coaches because we can push them a little harder without the fear of injury. It's nice that the Philly weather's cooperated. We don't have snow on the ground here in January, so we can play on the turf right outside of Subaru Park at the training facility. So I'd say we're ahead of where I expected the guys to be. I think part of that is the great season they had last year and the way it ended. There's still a bad taste in their mouth, I'll just say, and we want to take that next step. So we're excited to get back to work, and the guys are coming in really fit.
Do you guys do the beep test where you run line to line?
Yeah, we used to pretty consistently for a lot of years. Now we tried this year a different test. The name of it, I forget the exact name, but it's a version of, everybody remembers the Cooper test from when you were in, maybe in college, where 2 miles, 12 minutes. But this one is actually 5 minutes. It's actually worse. It's 5 minutes as far as you can run. So it's a real test of will and guts. And I'll just say Quinn Sullivan won by a significant margin, which is good for Quinn and shows what he put into the offseason. Was really happy that our center backs, which they shouldn't be in the top 5, but both of them were in the top 5. It just shows how fit those guys came in as experienced players. And Leon and Julian, some of the Bueno came in really fit as well. So that kind of rounded out the top 5 as far as the guys that impressed us and we're really happy with. But yeah, we do a test. 5 minutes as far as you can run. It has changes of direction it's 120 meters, change direction for 5 straight minutes. And it becomes almost a mental test as well. How far do you want to push yourself? Because as you guys know, if you run at all, you can always do more, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes that inner monologue kind of tells you to quit when you can do a little bit more.
Sure. Quinn won the beep test previously before, right?
Smashes it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we almost don't even use him as a benchmark anymore because he's just going to win, and then it becomes now, okay, who are the filling out second place? So it's impressive.
His dad coached me and taught me in high school.
Oh, no way.
Oh,
man, so you had Brendan.
Brendan.
Brendan's great, man. Brendan is he's a great dad, first and foremost, great player, by the way. You might not know that, but I played against Brendan, and what a left foot he had, incredible player, great person, and has a special family. So Brendan's father coached me at Villanova, so
I know.
It's a small soccer world, and yeah, no coincidence. His kids are doing good things in the game.
Yeah, he's a great coach, a great teacher, and he was actually a huge role model for me in high school.
I respect him a ton.
Yeah.
Now, with Corey Burke officially gone, that leaves you guys with 3 strikers. And now you guys went out last season and signed Jose Riasco. I know he isn't with the first team; he's more a U2 signing. But do you have plans for Jose potentially this year with the first team?
Yeah, he's away at a youth national team tournament with Venezuela. He's doing well down there, so hopefully that can continue. He will join us in the preseason down in Clearwater when that competition finishes up. You guys are getting the inside scoop, man. It's good. No one asked me that one. It's good. Yeah, so he'll join us down there, which is good. But yeah, Corey is a player I loved, and the hard part about this game is when you have a lot of success like we've had, it's difficult to keep everyone happy and everyone together. So Corey had a situation where we wanted to keep him. It just didn't work out, and he had a better opportunity, unfortunately, at a rival club, which hurts. But Corey's a great striker. He's a guy who can get double-digit goals, and we have to find a way to replace that. Maybe it's in-house that we replace it, or maybe we find somebody on the market elsewhere.
Absolutely. All right, I'll keep going.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned in your end of the season press conference that you guys discussed playing with a 3 in the back formation potentially for the upcoming season, and I believe it's the first time you've said that publicly.
Yeah.
And fans say, oh, well, why wouldn't you play in 3 in the back when you had Mark McKenzie, Jacob Glissons, Jack Elliott, or Stuart Finley? Why now? Did Pat Noonan, what he did in Cincinnati with his 3 in the back, did that have any effect with you wanting to do it?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. It's a fair point. I would say, though, we weren't as stable of a team. That's number one. And then the other thing is, this league is a copycat league. So I think when teams now get used to us out of the 4-4-2 diamond, some are going to start to copy it and try to do it themselves and match up man for man against us, which we'll have to adjust and be able to change. So it's a little bit twofold. So we have to have I think we have a plan B going into every game, but this one's a little more specific where it's actually putting 3 center backs out there. And don't forget, I think Kai could play as a left center back or a left wing back. He could do both. A guy like Mbaizo could play, or Nathan could play as a right-sided center back as well. So there's a uniqueness that we could do it just to get some maybe more attacking wing backs on the field. So I think we need to be a little flexible, because if you do the same things over and over again, teams are going to catch up to us, and we have to be able to adjust and adapt. Otherwise, you die.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A couple more for you, Jim, before we let you go. I've had both Frank Leist and Phil Wedden on the podcast, and they've always given you credit. And I say, they're great coaches in their own right, and they say, no, all the credit goes to Jim.
No,
and
they're
I
nice.
say, they do a great job with developing the players. They say, oh, no, that's the players. So you guys never take the credit. You always give the credit to other people. But I think one thing that gets underrated about you is you've always had good assistant coaches around you. You had Pat Noonan now in Cincinnati, Mike Schorber, who's now with Toronto, Dick Schrader, who's now in the Netherlands, Oka Nikolov, in LAFC. The list goes on and on.
PJ Callahan's with the national team. We've had great people.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? I mean, everybody talks about you being a man manager, but it seems you have the talent too, finding the assistant coaches.
Yeah, I think, look, we talk a lot about player development and wanting to have our players reach their full potential, but we also feel the same way with our staff. I think if you're a young coach in this country, I'll use Ryan Richter as an example. I see a great young coach that's doing great work for us in the academy. Just like if I saw a great player in the academy, I want them with me and I want them to develop quickly. And when the time's right, I think Ryan's going to be a head coach in the league as well. And rather than think of that as a negative thing from our fans and say we're losing one, we should be proud of that. I do believe that. And again, we should want people to reach their maximum, just like we want you guys to be the next Joe Rogans, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the goal, right? Or maybe not, you don't like Joe Rogan. The popularity, maybe.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that should be the environment that we create, should try to bring the best out of people. And that's another example where, we do a good job of getting these guys, and they make me look good, man. They have really good people around me, and that matters so much in any line of work that you're in.
You're building the Jim Curtin coaching tree now in MLS.
Sounds nice. That sounds nice. I appreciate that.
You were talking about Bob Bradley's having, 15 players that are now coaches?
Yeah. It's something that I think was taught to me, and I think you should try to pass it on to people and players that are around you. So I'm fortunate, very fortunate.
Yeah, well, speaking of Bob Bradley, if you took your 2003 Chicago Fire team versus the current Union team, who's going to win that game?
Oh, man, I'll get in trouble answering this question, but I'll just say this. the league has improved and is so much deeper now. There's no question. But if you go back and look at my team in 2003, there was only 10 teams in the league. Mm-hmm. So there's only 160 at the time, 160 players. So to be on a team was really hard, and the talent pool was really, really high. You know what I mean? So now we have 30 guys on a team and 29 teams. So all I'm saying is there's a lot of great players in the league, but the top end was really good back then too. That's the nice way of answering it. I think it'd be a great game though. It'd be exciting. Go through, look at that lineup. You had Ante Razov, you had DeMarcus Beasley, Carlos Bocanegra, Zach Thornton, Chris Armas, Jesse Marsh, Dima Kovalenko was an incredible player. It would be a battle. C.J. Brown, another great one. So you guys might not know who these guys are because you're young, but no. There's a lot of history in that team. So I'm biased, but I'd like to think the Union would beat them. Maybe I could. I know the weaknesses of the old Fire team, so I think we could hit them up.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I love Zach Thornton. I'm from Maryland, and so he grew up in the town right next to me. One of the best goalkeepers ever in MLS, and to still see him involved with the league, love that for Zach. But last one for you. Billy and I were talking about if there's any former Philadelphia Union player you could bring on for the 2023 season in their prime. So not in their prime with the Union, their prime overall. Yeah. Who would you bring back?
I'm going to answer pretty quickly, and I'm going to say Barnetta, Tranquilo. At his prime, I mean, first of all, we saw Kilo, and not at the end of his career, kind of the end. And what a player. I mean, what a human being, what a person, what a leader. I mean, if you look at some of the old Bundesliga footage of what he did, I mean, he was unbelievable for the Swiss national team as well. And I really just loved working with him. He was such a good guy. We had so many great, talented players, even some of the forgotten guys like Vincent Nogueira, Mo Adu in his prime. You have a real talent and beast. So there's been a lot of great ones. Connor Casey in his prime would score some goals right now, So it's exciting. And it's cool that you guys are keeping the history of it alive, because what can happen is that we forget, where we came from, and how long it took to get to this point. So I really applaud you guys for keeping those memories alive. That's a great question, man. But I think I go quick to Barnett. Who am I missing? Who's got
between me? Medunjanin
in his Champions League days also was kind of nasty. So it's
scored a goal
one.
Today.
Yeah, he's still what a player, what a man. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Controversially, I put Farid Mondragon in my
Mondragon
best 11 in Union history.
At his peak, yeah.
At his peak, yeah.
Yeah, you guys didn't get to see because of injury. Fernando Aristeguieta. He's a baller. Like he's still scoring goals in Mexico. So a lot of great names and great people. That's good to go down old memory lane. Seba in his day was a baller too. So you got a lot of names. Now I'm going to get in trouble because I'm forgetting some really good ones.
Elsinio. I mean, the list goes on and on.
At their prime. That's also good. Man, that's a good list.
Absolutely.
I still go Barnetta in his peak because he was top of the Bundesliga. That was good.
Yeah, well, Jim, I appreciate you for joining us today. The Philadelphia Union season kicks off at home against the Columbus Crew February 25th, I believe it is. And we wish you the best of luck this season, Jim. Yeah, it's going to be cold, but I know it'll be sold out, and you guys will be cheering us on. It'll be loud, and I appreciate you guys having me on. It's awesome. Yep, thanks so much. Thanks, Jim. And there you have it, our interview with your Philadelphia Union head coach, Jim Curtin. And I got to say, Jim is always an excellent interview. Enjoy talking to him every single week in press conferences, and now you guys finally get to hear him one-on-one on the podcast. And you guys don't know this, and I'll go ahead and just share it out there, but Jim Curtin literally had an event that he needed to attend at the convention, and he was like, you know what, I'm going to make time to go on your podcast. And I said, you know what, you can give me 5 minutes. I don't care. Just if you can come on and say a couple words, I'm happy with it. But to be able to talk with Jim for about 12, 15 minutes, man, that guy is top class. So I hope you guys enjoy that interview. And it might have been a little bit shorter than some of you guys would have liked, but I'm sure we'll get Jim back on in the podcast sometime in the future. Again, very, very grateful that he took time out of his very busy schedule to come and speak to us on the podcast. But if you guys aren't following the podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, follow at Free Kick Pod, wherever you get your podcasts of The Free Kick. And like I said, guys, continue to share this podcast on social media. If you guys haven't rated the podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, be sure to do that. And there's going to be a lot more interviews just like this podcast. And I can't promise that they're all going to be great like this one. But I'm having a blast here at the convention. Hopefully you guys are having a blast listening to the podcast. And we're going to continue to roll out these podcast interviews for you guys in the coming days. But until then, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.